Have you had significant offers from other clubs ever that has really interested you?
Yeah, well, I've had two. One was before the 03 season, and I don't think many people know about this. The situation out at the Storm was Richard Swain was off contract.
Yep.
I was off contract. And, I'd spent most of that season with Swaney. Terrific bloke. Yep. Wonderful fella. Got along with him really well, and he taught me a lot of things in his the short amount of time that we spent together. So I remember saying to him, mate, you're a club legend. I'm not going to put pressure on you by signing or doing anything like that. I'm not. You do what you have to do, and then I'll make my decision. But in that time, there was some interest from the Raiders.
I can hear the Green Machine, the Green Army just crying. Bloody Richard Swain.
There was some interest at the Raiders. So I actually flew up to Canberra and did a bit of a trip up there and had a look around the facilities and all that sort of stuff. And had a look. So what would have happened is if Richard would have signed at Melbourne, there was a huge chance I would have ended up at the Raiders.
Wow.
And then what was to happen in the coming weeks was they took a punt on myself as a young fella and said, well, I think the future is going to be with Cameron and Richie ended up moving on. The other one, Matty, was just after our third child was born, Matilda, and I could see that things were becoming more difficult for my wife in Melbourne. Managing, looking after 3 young children. I was away every second weekend on top of
hard work,
on top of Origin, on top of through that period when the kids were born. I was involved in World Cup 08, 4 Nations 09, 4 Nations 2010, 2011. I think we had another tour. 2012 was a one-off, and then World Cup again in 13. So on top of the Origin series where you spend that 7 weeks away, and the regular season, I could see the pressure was building at home. Yeah. And so it got to a point in around the end of 2013. In my head, I was like, this is like. We can't stay here. Like, I got to get home and get some support around Barb and the kids and so that was when the Broncos. It was a reality that I was going to end up playing there, and it wasn't until I'd spoken. Barb grabbed me, and she knew that I was uneasy with. The position that we're in, and thinking going back to Broncos or whatever, and she said, mate, like, I can see that, something's troubling you. You haven't been yourself, whatever, and what's going on? I spoke to her about the situation, and she said, look, tell me where you'll be most happy, playing for the Storm or playing for Broncos, and I said, well, I'll be most happy playing for Storm. When I started here, I said I wanted to be a one-club person and play out my career here. And she said, well, play for Melbourne. I'll make things work here. We'll get by.
That's great sacrifice.
So, huge sacrifice, mate. Huge sacrifice. So, thankfully, we had that conversation, and I ended up going back to the club and said, listen, I want to stay on. And, they were the two times.